Awesome, guys. I think we might just kick off. For those of you who don't know me, which is actually most of you, I think, hi. My name's Kate. I'm running the control room, and it's my great pleasure to be with here today. And we're going to talk about the critical bottom line and how to actually make money with your business. Are we all business owners in the room? Tough crowd. Let's try this again. Business owners? Awesome. Yep, me too, which is kind of cool, right? So, what is the bottom line? I am going to take answers from the floor. Best guess, go. Sir. Bottom line of your P&L. Agreement generally from the room? Yeah. It's the pretty commonly agreed outcome, right? The bottom line is my net profit. The bottom line is also colloquially known as, the real deal. Like, mate, let me give you the bottom line here, right? Yeah, so there's, figurative and literal definition of the bottom line. Thank you, welcome for joining. And I disagree vehemently. And I'd been disagreeing for quite a long time, actually. And I went to GPT a couple of years ago now, and I said, so, give me the dictionary definition of the bottom line. And as you would expect, it came back to me with, well, you've got your revenue and your gross profit, and then you take your OPEX away and you get your net profit, and that's the bottom line. Surprise! Not really. And then I said, okay, that's great. Did kind of expect that, but could you not argue that the net equity line of a business, what it's actually worth, could you not argue that that's actually the bottom line here? And I'm talking literally and figuratively at this point. And it paused, because I've got it on think mode, right? And it came back with about 2 pages of arguments that how that was actually correct. Yes, you can actually argue that the net equity position of your business, what the business is actually worth, is the bottom line of the business. But let me tell you guys, if I start talking to you about balance sheets, you're all going to run screaming from the room, and I'm not going to get anywhere with you at all. So I just renamed the balance sheet the critical bottom line. Huzzah! And now I get to talk to you guys, which is awesome for me, and hopefully awesome for you. So, your balance sheet. How many people pore over their balance sheet at least monthly? I mean, know this guy, this bad boy. I got 2 fingers, 3. Who has a friend who pores over their balance sheet? Who thinks their accountant handles that bad boy for them? Couple of nods and a couple of knowing mm-ms. Right. So when I say the critical bottom line, I really mean that this bad boy is your critical bottom line. And most of the businesses that I coach or chat to or mentor or work with or provide services to in any number of ways have never looked at this baby. Or don't know what it is. Or, worse, think their accountant is managing this business. And that is why we have businesses who think they're profitable or get surprised by tax bills or wonder where the money went. So what's a balance sheet? For those of you who pore over it, sir. Revenue minus expenses is a profit statement. Yeah, there we go. So, balance sheet. It's just 3 things. It's not very fancy, really. It's what you own, also called assets. It's what you owe, also sometimes called liabilities. And it's what you have left over when you deduct one from the other, also known as equity. So it's not a very complicated statement, but it is your foundational most critical financial statement, and it is upon which everything else is built. And yet, who always looks at their P&L first? Who doesn't look at anything at all and just hopes it all works out well later? Fair, that's fine. Businesses have been run by gut feel for millennia and will continue to be done so, right? I think I missed a click. My bad. There we go. So they look like this, and that's okay. I do not need you to learn how to read a balance sheet. I do really want you to learn how to read yours, because this makes your business make sense. Yeah? So what it has, your balance sheet is your critical bottom line. Profit, what you guys look at all the time, you know, your revenue, your expenses, that kind of tells you if you're moving forwards or moving backwards. But your balance sheet shows you the whole landscape. It tells you what is going on with your business. Your balance sheet holds time. It holds every transaction you've made in your business for all of time, from the beginning of time to a point in time. You can't hide from this bad boy. It has every good and every bad decision that you ever made. And it is your business model in motion. It really is the articulation of everything you've built, the blood, the sweat, and the tears. It is your cheat sheet. This is the number one making money business finance hack that I can give you. And guess what? It's a punish, right? If you've never done this before, it's not a fun thing to do. It's not like the marketing guys who are promising you instant cash, right? It is a punish, but it is the foundation upon which everything else is built. And, fast fact, it also contains your profit and loss statement in a one-line summary format. So it's not like you're missing out there. No need to panic. Unfortunately, most balance sheets, and I have reviewed one in 10 years that was materially accurate, are not worth the toilet paper upon which they are written, which is a bit of a shame, given that we have just discussed how critically important and foundational they are. Why do you think that is? Any guesses at all? They've got stuff missing. Brilliant call out. Lack of systems and structures. Yeah. So I'm going to call out one of the foundation reasons that I think that most balance sheets aren't accurate. And that is because to lodge a tax return, you do not need to have an accurate balance sheet. Ta-da! That's it. So there's this weird culture in Australian business where I see you guys, and I'm saying you guys generally because everyone in this room is awesome, right? Hire a bookkeeper or an accountant and never speak to them again. Nope, not unless they're begging on their knees, please talk to me, right? You can't even hire a lawyer this way. You have to instruct a lawyer, right? And so there is no other hire you will make in your business that you will not look at their output, you will not check their work, you will not actually make sure that they're doing a good job, not give them KPIs, management frameworks, structure of any kind. You just let them go. They're accountants, they've got this handled. They're actually just part of your team, like every other member of your team. And without your leadership, who are they working for? The taxman. Which is essential, and I love accountants because I would rather stick hot forks in my eyes than write a tax return. Truly. So essential, but not profitable. And you do not need an accurate balance sheet to lodge a tax return. And so without the leadership and guidance of the business owner or like the person who hired them, They're just going to do what they know to do, which is compliance. Now, when we're running a business, compliance is like the revision mirror in the car, right? And if you drive a car and you're only looking in the revision mirror, it's going to end badly. Yeah, at some point you're going to hit something or someone, hopefully not yourself. When we're actually talking about business accounting and making money and finance, we want to be driving and looking through the windshield, looking ahead. But without leadership and guidance, our accountants and bookkeepers are going to produce tax returns, which is our compliance. So how do you actually go and look at your balance sheet, because some of us have never done that before in this room, and then have any idea of what we're looking at being correct? I have a hack for you. And like I said before, it's a little bit of a punish, but only once. Once you've done it one time, then it's your balance sheet, you know it, you've got it, and you can't unsee what you've learned. So, when you get home today, grab a glass of wine, whiskey, whatever floats your boat, soda water, all good. Grab your balance sheet, maybe ask if it's been reconciled or, if it's up to date, whatever your terminology is. And you just go through it line by line by line by line by line. And the only rule is you can't skip. And you do 3 simple exercises. I've listed them on the screen. You ask yourself, of this line, what is it? And what does it mean? And the first one's pretty easy. Usually it's just a bank account. Oh, that's easy. That's my bank account. That means that there was this much money in my bank account on this date. Awesome. Now you've made a bit of momentum, right? You've gotten it, like you've answered the question correctly, so that's awesome. Does it feel right? This is just a sense check. On this date, did my bank have about that much money in it? Yes or no? Easy. And then the third exercise is the most important. You prove it. How might you prove that bank account had that money in it? You get the bank statement. Correct. Success. You've just ticked off line 1, move to the next line. When you don't know what something means, hot tip, it can't feel right. Just so that you know. And if you don't know what it means, I just suggest you ask ChatGPT. And if ChatGPT doesn't know what it means, you should be asking your person, accountant, bookkeeper, partner, elf, whoever has been doing it for you, then you ask them what it means. And if they can't explain it to you, may I suggest that you would probably not hire anyone else in your business who you could not get on the same page with. Yeah? Just a thought. So once you've done your critical bottom line assessment, also known as the balance sheet assessment, right? There is not a lot about your business that you will not know. And once you've gone through it once, you can't unsee the elephants in the room. So, what to look out for? Because this lady here made the great call out that there are often things missing from balance sheets. And they are the things that matter most to small business owners. Who employs people here in Australia? Yeah, quite a few people in the room. So I've unfortunately over the last couple of years worked with a lot of businesses who have gone into VAs, voluntary administrations, liquidations, restructures. Because coming out of COVID and the current economies are really, really tough on us at the moment. And quite a lot of those businesses have been stung really hard with employer obligations, i.e. employee entitlements. And I've heard over and over and over again in the communities that I mentor, why didn't my accountant tell me that? I didn't know that I owed $380,000 in annual leave entitlements. Where was that reported? And the answer is just nowhere. It just was sitting nowhere. It should have been sitting here. So if you have employees and you get through your assessment, but you have not seen a line that says, this is how much I owe in employer entitlements or obligations, that one would be missing. So that's my call out for what to look out for, things that are often missing. You can go through this with your advisors or whoever is actually managing this for you. But I promise once you get to the end of this fun, super exciting, awesome exercise, which you will love every second of it. Did I mention wine? Yeah. You will never look at your business the same way again. That's nice, Kate. That's fantastic. But we were talking about making money. How do we do that with this thing that you promised me is awesome? How do you think you make money when you know how your business model works? Who here has a friend who has ever said, I've got to pay how much tax? I've made how much profit? Where the hell is the money? No one's ever, really? No one ever. Liar. Who has a friend who's been struggling with cash flow? Ever? Yeah. So cash flow isn't a thing. It's not a problem, right? Cash flow is actually a symptom. And it's a symptom of one of two things. If you're a fancy CPA person, there's 7 drivers of cash flow and blah, blah, blah. But really, it's 2 things. It's profit or hygiene. So either you're not making enough profit or you're not washing your hands and cleaning your nose, financially speaking. So who is hearing about businesses at the moment who are profitable but going into liquidation? Yeah, it's a thing, right? How can that be right? How can a profitable business be going into a liquidation? And what does that have to do with making money, Kate? Can you get to the good stuff? When you understand your critical bottom line, you will understand something that most business owners never, ever get. You'll be the 1% of owners who will get to building a business asset that is saleable, scalable, and sustainable, as opposed to the other 99% who chase revenue without knowing how much revenue they are chasing. Your critical bottom line shows you how much revenue you need to grow your net equity, to grow the value of your business. These businesses who are cash flow challenged, these businesses that are profitable but going broke, are simply not making enough profit. There is a concept called minimum viable profit. And if you go to your accountant and say, hey, I'm struggling with cash flow, I'm struggling with profit, what are they going to do? Let's make a budget. Who's got a budget for their business? Thank you. We never use it. Budgets are bullshit. Don't bother. I tried so hard to get a daisy in his horns because I thought he was like Ferdinand the bull. But anyway, GPT just would not play nicely with me, but you've got him. The reason I say this is because if you're managing your critical bottom line, if you actually know how much profit you need to make, you will stop with budgets and you will start looking at models, ratios, and a few core numbers that will let you know if you're on track or off track. There is absolutely a place for budgets in the world, so I am being quite flippant, which would be terribly out of character for me, absolutely. But most small businesses do not use budgets in the manner in which they're intended. Has anyone in the room needed to buy something but then run back to check their budget before they did? No. That's what budgets are meant for. And if you're in an enterprise or government, that is what you have to do. Oh, I really need that, but I need to check my budget first before I decide to spend. Small businesses just do not operate in that manner. So, forget it. We use models instead, and we use models based on our critical bottom line. When we understand our critical bottom line, we then understand our non-operating cash position, which then means we understand our minimum viable profit, which, as it may suggest, is the profit you need to make your business grow its net equity position. Break even is the most dangerous and damaging term that accountants ever came up with. That is why we have profitable businesses going into liquidation. You have to pay tax out of profit. You have to pay non-operating cash flows out of profit. You need to return your investment out of profit. If you have loans to pay, you have to pay that out of profit. And you have to have enough profit to do so. That is sitting on your balance sheet. And look, I've said the word balance sheet at least 10 times and only one person ran screaming from the room. Security is slacking, obviously, but apart from that, we're going well. So I usually do this live, but we've only got half an hour, and so I sort of haven't let this be a live model. But the MVP model is calculated. And once you understand your balance sheet, you understand how your business looks as a whole, you'll be able to calculate your minimum viable profit, which is simply your non-operating cash flow, a make-up to your market salary so that you know that you're getting paid, and then a return on investment and an allowance for tax. I've got all the models. You can come and QR code and scan them later. That's fine. Once you do, we've got a very summarized profit and loss here. And this is high school, if not primary school maths. So also relax on the maths part. Are there any actual accountants in the room who are going to have a stroke over how it's not technically correct? Please chillax if you do, because it is materially and practically correct, right? Once we have and know what profit we need to make, we work back up our profit statement and just calculate, knowing our operating expenses, knowing our gross profit ratios. You should know those guys. If you don't, again, actually talk to the accountants and bookkeepers that you hired and start managing their output, right? The really fantastic thing about doing this assessment of your balance sheet is you're going to know how good a job these guys are doing. And you're going to know what job they're actually doing, which is a whole different conversation. You know, I said earlier in the piece, why didn't my accountant tell me that? My response is always, did you ask? And there is this delta between what business owners think accountants do and what accountants think they've been employed to do. And no one has the conversation in the middle. That is financial leadership, and that is understanding your critical bottom line. So once you have those numbers and you're confident in your critical bottom line, you can calculate your revenue target, and you can see in 90 seconds, it takes about, 15 seconds to plug two numbers into here. And if something changes in the business, you just update the numbers. If you think you want to hire someone else, you just update the operating expense. You can have a look at what happens if you improve your gross profit by 1%. You know, the 1% incremental improvements that actually snowball and make massive improvements over time. Instead of budgets, play with models, with ratios. And this comes from understanding your business, how your business makes money, how your critical bottom line actually works for you. This is not learning to be an accountant. This is not learning how to do your bookkeeping. That is not what you should be doing. This is learning to assess and lead the outcomes of your financial performance, because you deserve it. You work hard as a business owner and you take a hell of a lot of personal, commercial, and financial risk. You need to get paid for that. But you can't just leave it to some accountant who you've not talked to in 6 months. That's A, unfair, and B, not very smart. Because you would never, ever trust any other team member like that. Right? So, managing your balance sheet makes sense. That was GPT, so not me. But I thought it was actually pretty cool. And it's your number one business hack. Again, it's a punish, but it's only a punish once. It might take you an hour and a half. If your balance sheet's really good and you've got someone on call that can explain things to you. I've occasionally had to work a couple of days on a few balance sheets with business owners in a coaching environment to get it untangled and sorted out. Like we said before, quite often the balance sheets are not worth the toilet paper they're written on. And that's not the fault of your accountant or your bookkeeper. That is a collaboration and understanding of the role that they're performing and a leadership failure for not putting in place KPIs, for not knowing what those KPIs are, and not having a framework with which to manage your team. You wouldn't blame any other team member for failing in their role. Don't blame them, train them. Not in their skill, but in their outcome. So, the bottom line, and this is the figurative bottom line in this instance. Your balance sheet or your critical bottom line, it's where your money is at, right? If you want to understand why your business isn't making the money that you think it should be, or you've got a friend who said, hell, my accountant said I made this much profit, but I don't know where the cash is. The answer is here. It can't be anywhere else. This is the answer to all of those finance questions. It's the first report you look at. It is the foundation of all of the other reports. All the other reports actually support this document. They are addendums to the real deal. This is your business asset on a page. And once you get hold of that, you will never look at your business or manage your business in the same way. It has all your wins and sins. If you've made a mistake, it's there forever. When you've won, it's there forever. It's your immediate cash flows. It will show you what's coming up. Who's ever got a surprise BAS? Again, really? Who's got a friend who had a surprise BAS? Many more people, right? Or the accountant sent it through, oh, here's $80,000, it's due tomorrow. Awesome, I love those conversations, right? You can always see what your BAS is going to be. It's on your balance sheet. There should be no surprises. It's your profit position. Your profit statement is on your balance sheet. It shows you that. It's your financial hygiene. What we mean by financial hygiene is, are you collecting all your debtors? Are you paying all your suppliers? Are you paying them too early or too late? How's your cash gap? Are you turning over your inventory regularly? That is hygiene. It's washing your hands and blowing your nose. Basics. It's your financial health and happiness. If you run your balance sheet over the last couple of months and the bottom line is going down, that's bad. If the bottom line is going upwards and it's accurate, that's good. We want to grow the asset of our business. We don't want to let it tank slowly. Tanking slowly means I've got more non-operating cash flows than I've got profit to cover. Does that make sense to everyone? We want our businesses to appreciate in value. We want them to be saleable and attractive. We don't want minuses at the bottom. We want pluses. And we also really need to know, because life stuff happens, what is the cost of emergency exit? What do I mean by that? If I have to close the doors tomorrow, what does it cost? Again, people who have employees, what does it cost you to let everyone go tomorrow? That should also be on your balance sheet, at least in part. Annual leave, long service leave, all of that stuff is a liability. It's clear present. You owe it now, even if you don't realise it. So if you need to close the doors tomorrow because of life stuff, which is a thing, that needs to be in your brain and something you should know at all times. So knowledge is power, right? This is your finance hack. So grab the QR code, have a look at the control room, come and have a chat to me at any time. I walk people through this all the time. It's kind of my happy place. No death by spreadsheet. Absolutely not allowed. Spreadsheets are not my thing. Budgets, bullshit. We use traffic lights and fun. Thanks for listening, guys. Actually, that was awesome. You're a great crowd, all things considered. And the magic trick is saying balance sheet over and over with nobody leaving.